have a messy back-end question submitted by one of our anonymous listeners. He says, what are your suggestions for how I can get past the startup phase and move into the phase where I'm not bootstrapping anymore?
The first thing is revenue. Every startup, every company or commercial endeavor, the core of that endeavor is revenue generation and profit generation. So when you're in a startup phase, typically, people don't pay too much attention to revenue generation in the first phase, or even if they do, it's not sustainable revenue because you're just building things up. The best thing to do is focus more on revenue. Get to a point where the revenue is sustainable, it's growing, and your expenses are less than your revenue that is coming in. So now you are entering into profit phase, which is actually growing. There is no official definition of when you're out of the startup phase. Some people say even Tesla right now is a startup, which is a multi-billion-dollar company. But to me, if a business is growing and it's producing more and more revenue, I think that's a good stage to say now we are out of the startup phase. And then the other aspect is a mindset of the founders, of the decision makers. If they have a growth mindset and they think that they are out of the startup phase, that's also a key factor, because a lot of times we put a lot of artificial boundaries around us through our own thinking, our beliefs. So if we think that we are always in a startup phase, then we're never going to get out of that phase. But if you think that we have matured enough and we are on to the next stage, then that's it.
You know what? That is so brilliant. This is a mic drop moment, Nate, because I was actually thinking as you were describing, the answering the question was, how do you even know if you're out of startup? But like you said, Tesla is still like saying we're a startup. So it comes to mindset, and if you're profitable, because there's not really this wall where you leap over it and all of a sudden you're like, yay, I'm not a startup anymore, right?
Exactly.
And I guess the struggles are the same whether you're over the top of that struggle or not.
Initially, you are low on resources. You need to be really creative and utilize your resources very efficiently. You don't have a lot of people who are specializing in different things, so you have to wear multiple hats. But as you grow, you can specialize. Now things become more about optimization of resources and making sure there is no waste. You can obviously hire more people and specialize, but as you grow, the complexity also grows. So your focus shifts from growth to reducing complexity and making sure mistakes are not made and your customers are taken care of.
Oh, I like that. Like you said, focus less on growth and more about reducing your complexities and the redundancies and the repetition.
Exactly.
That's something that Sheila and I talk about a lot on our podcast, about how to automate things and make